Okay, no, Neeko's coming in. So a lot of AoE lockdown here from Gen.G. They can get in there and be a nuisance. Rascal actually mentioned the fact that he hadn't put very much time into Neeko whatsoever when he picked it last time. Also didn't win that game, so we'll see whether this is going to be better this time out.
Yeah, a very curious draft here. Definitely not much of the norm. This does mean that Canna will be hopping up onto the Karma top, which again is 8-0 right now.
Yeah, Karma is real good.
Yeah, she is enjoying a lot of wins from the top lane. It's super safe. You can't deal with her. She can build so many different builds. She can be flexed everywhere. And the Neeko will be up there to attempt to put on a little bit of pressure and, of course, offer some really fun AoE damage in the team fights. But that is also a ton of AP damage on Gen.G's comp. So we'll have to wait and see how that one does go.
Yeah, just a really short-range comp coming out of T1 here. They spike super hard in the mid-game, as Ardent Sense are not exactly going to be giving the Kalista too much this time around, but their ability to dive and activate all of that CC is going to be pretty dangerous. However, you look over the side of Gen.G, and they do have sort of a lot of counter, you know? You utilize the Pop Blossom if they dive on top of you, get that big shield, and get all of that lockdown, and then you can layer a shockwave over the top of it. Plus, Ruler is going to be very safe with life alongside him on this Tahm Kench. Not like the Tahm Kench picks that we saw from Gorilla in our previous series. This one might be a better time for the Catfish on the bottom side of the map, as we'll just have to see whether Gen.G have dealt with their mental block and whether they have found a draft that they want.
Yeah, I feel like their draft is a little bit more straightforward. For sure. They actually do have a ball carrier. They could even have a couple, depending on how aggressive Neeko can get in these fights. But certainly a lot of protection for three, quote-unquote carries for the side of T1, if you consider Jax that too. We'll have to see what kind of build he goes for if he wants to go tanky. The tank Jax jungle was something that we saw brought back by Malrong, actually, from Jinair, and a bunch of other people tried it. And as you were saying it, Cuzz is trying it once again in solo queue and having a bit of success. And we do know that from time to time pro players will use their solo queue kind of experiences to say, well, I'm really confident on this pick right now. Just let me give it a try here in game number 1, even if it's not something we see very often. It's going to go Hail of Blades. Going to be attacking real fast.
No surprises there. Double Halo Blades on the side of T1. Teddy, of course, taking that one as well, as we're checking it out, because with an 85.7% win rate, so my stats are a little bit wrong. 6-1. I've got 6-2 in my record books, but maybe this is just during the LCK regular season. Maybe he did find a loss on the pickup at, I don't know, a Kesper Cup or something like that. Could have certainly been a thing. Missing one of those losses.
Faker took a lot of unnecessary damage in the mid lane, but more importantly than that, 15-2 is effort on Rakan. Pretty ridiculous stats. Obviously, effort is a very well-known Rakan player, knows his stuff. Back in the days when Rakan could just, do that insane engage. Yeah. He was definitely one of the main support players that was abusing that to great effect.
BDD throwing this orb around the mid lane will actually have a lot of control in the early stages, which is something that not a lot of Oriannas are able to boast. And honestly, if you're able to play this style on the Orianna, she's very oppressive. It's just if she gets shoved in, it's more difficult to deal with. As you can see that Commander of Protect actually doing a lot of work here for BDD, who is controlling this lane entirely. My God, really rough. Of course, it's a difficult matchup for Faker to make work on this Akali, so we'll see whether he's going to continue to struggle or whether he's going to find his moment to attack. As Clid here taking the Gromp on the bottom side, as Faker down to about 200, having to go into the Shroud, as BDD using his shields very effectively here in this lane. But Faker trading his health bar for CS, mainly.
The Minion Dematerializer will help out with CSing up against that oppressive Orianna versus melee harass that you can do. Priority in the bot side is going to give this Rift Scuttler over to Cuzz.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, this top lane probably not going to find too much action, as this says the guy who doesn't die and solo kill machine, Canna.
Yeah.
That's one way to say it. He rarely dies, 10th amongst top laners.
That's why his KDA is so darn good. Knock up there onto Ruler, but he's going to be fine. No Devour even needed there out of life. And teleports picked up all over the place here on Gen.G. Triple teleport coming out. Quadra available with the unsealed spellbook that Life has available to him. So Gen.G are going to be able to be flexible around this map. Not to mention the fact that Abyssal Voyage exists. Ooh, Life not going to face check effort here. They know exactly where he is. You can see that Ruler not quite able to find priority. As, there's the ward, goes into the brush. There's now Clid looking for Canna. Doesn't have his ulti, but Canna's going to run all the way out. And Flash now on cooldown. Successful gank already as Rascal. Blooming Burst for a fair bit of damage.
Yeah, you got that enhanced route down onto him. And I think it's a smart flash from Canna. If you're a top laner and you're trying to learn when to flash, he's probably a good player.
Oh, this is so sneaky. As Rascal going to throw his clone away, but that is a brilliant snare. Cuzz going to be thwarted.
Clid was right nearby, so just waited for that one. Take a look at how he is backing when he's set up the freeze, when it's pushing into him. So he's denying a bunch of CS away from Rascal. They're both probably going to TP up to that lane anyway, but he might be able to deny a couple of CS worth of XP, which can mean all the difference up against the Neeko. Faker still taking his abuse in the mid lane after taking all that unnecessary damage over in the enemy jungle before the lane even started. So has to handle that.
Yep, dealing with it for the moment. Teleport back here for BDD. And okay, effort. He's already roamed in, and BDD gonna get exhausted ignited very early. So down to half health before this lane even really starts. Lost chapter complete. It doesn't have a corrupting potion or anything like that. As the last time we saw Jax, it was Peanut's loss versus Clid, in fact. So Clid pretty good at jungling against Jax's, apparently.
It was the same matchup too as Gen.G versus then SKT, which is quite interesting, as Life might be dead.
Yes, he's going to get stunned. Grey health going to be eaten here, as the flash is all they're going to get. Ruler wanders back and asking why T1 are slaughtering his catfish. It's because going to start off the Cloud Drake. It's going to be the first one that we'll see here.
Yeah, Faker's not having a fun time in the lane. They're trying to get some extra work done in some other lanes due to that. And we saw the roam out of effort, which was really nicely timed on the teleport coming in from BDD. Wonder if Faker was able to call that one over, as I think everybody can just... well, okay.
I mean, there are potential hops over that wall.
I think they were just hiding. Like,
yeah. It's like, no, we didn't take this.
Yeah.
Mountain Drake going to be the second one here of the game, so Ocean or Infernal Soul. Going to be up for grabs. As Rascal winning a little bit in farm. Pretty happy about that, but Canna is on the immovable object that is the Karma. And it's the first time that he's played it so far this season, but I have a feeling he's going to be able to make it work, guys. Pretty good at that particular pickup, as that's a Devour needing to be used, as Ruler trying to offer the damage back onto Teddy. Actually trading very nicely, opted in for the Sheen. And they trade back exceptionally well. Life's timing on the Devour really strong.
Yeah, waited for the exact right moment, rather than wait until afterwards for when the Grand Entrance could come in. So it's definitely a nice little trade there. Ruler able to get slightly ahead with this itemization. This top lane, I don't think we really need to look at it too much. I think that Neeko will have, of course, the pushing advantage as well. This is going to look a little bit silly.
Yeah. May as well press your R button, though. Sometimes it's just what you want. No summoner spells invested. And Ruler didn't actually have a flash or anything like that, so maybe mistimed an arcane shift cooldown or something like that. Perplexing as Snare going to miss here from Rascal. And yeah, everything going to miss from Canna as well. So no harm, no foul. Clid just going to poke out the eye of good old Shelly here as BDD. Set up in good position to make sure that Gen.G should be able to take down Shelly. But I'm already proud of T1. They took the first Drake. They haven't been doing very much of that.
That's good, I suppose. BDD most gold in the game. He's just CSing the best here to pretty much no pressure outside of that time that the gank did come in from Efforts.
Yep, he's the one that's been putting on a lot of the pressure, actually, as you pointed out earlier.
He also got that plate in the mid lane, so that's why he is ahead of Teddy, even though they are on similar farm. Also a plate going down to Rascal here in the early game.
Yep, so plate a piece in the top and mid lane. And Gen.G actually looking really comfortable here so far. T1, a little bit more onus on them to make things happen in the mid game, given their composition that they've put together. And you might see Jax and think late game, but it's jungle Jax, so not going to be getting quite as much money.
Yeah, maybe like late
yeah,
game.
Epic uber late game.
When Neeko and Orianna and Ezreal are also all full build. Yeah. So they're going to have a little bit less effectiveness there for sure. But if they can get, they have decent wombo combo with the Rakan. If they can get in there and then maybe counter strike into the back line or something like that with Jax's mobility. If they get the perfect team fight to be put together. But I do still feel like Gen.G has more tools as long as they can kind of just, you know, float through this early and mid game without too much pressure.
Yep. Rascal gonna ruin a couple of his CS here, but looks like Canna starting to take control up here, especially given the fact that his advance is already completed. Great news for the top laner of T1. So, 1,000 gold separates the two teams. No first blood just yet. We are in, yeah, the LCK, guys.
Yeah,
it's how we do.
We can't kill. Can't help it.
Literally.
Yeah. It's just the way it goes.
Clid looking to try and deny what we were talking about. Maybe a slight conversation about vanilla ice cream could have helped us get a little bit more action.
Yeah. This Akali pick is very interesting from Faker. I mean, it's Faker. We know he can play pretty much anything, right? But is it worth it when you know you're going to be zoned out of a lot of CS? And we've seen that unless you get like a decent lead, or you're not really going to be dominating people in the later stages of the game. Obviously, he has a lot of assassination potential against the less mobile units like BDD and Rascal, but
I love this out of Gen.G as well, trying to accelerate BDD as much as possible. He grabs yet another plate. Only one left in this turret, and we're still sitting at 11 minutes in. So Cuzz is going to have to flash out of the shockwave. And when BDD's on form like this, it is so scary. But he's been handed a lane. And I was talking, like, when you were talking about the Akali pick, I'm sort of sitting here thinking, and a lot of our Oriannas haven't worked because they haven't had lane priority. But this one does, because T1 sort of picked into it, right?
Yeah.
And so now you've got mid lane that's going all the way over to Gen.G with our good friend player of the game, BDD, here. And it feels like it was conceded by T1 because, of course, you know, like, Faker could have picked something that could punish in lane a little bit better, but decides to pick for their sort of pile-in comp to go Bash Bros alongside of Jax. But it means that Gen.G move on over. They're able to take down this Mountain Drake, Clid in position. Faker still dealing with this minion wave here as BDD will show up eventually. And it's Infernal Soul here this game. That would actually be a pretty decent insurance policy for T1, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about the T1 draft, because, again, there's not too much going on in this game. Faker's played 3 games of Karma, even, and that's something we talk about with Karma, like, that's easily flexible. Maybe you just throw Faker on it and pick up something that can be blinded into the top lane, like a Jace, or there were some other options that were available. They could have gone down that route, but instead, they decided to go with the Akali, as Coach Kim says, I'm aware that many fans say our style is boring, but that's all we can do with our current form. We are not the best team right now. It's hard, but we have to admit it and try to change.
Well, is this the admitting it part, or is this the changing part?
Yeah, I don't know.
With their comp, they're going to need to start the changing part, like now. What, they got 4 minutes, something like that, you know? So we're going to need to see a fight for that Infernal Drake. If they give that one up, I think that Gen.G just happily scale until the late game that they're just going to win organically, right? Ezreal's going to offer a lot more than what Teddy's going to be able to do. He should get zoned out by the Orianna, Neeko, and the Volibear. And Rule is going to have that, all of that extra protection that Tahm Kench is going to offer him, and the Death Dance build that is extraordinarily frustrating to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, there's still potential in this mid game to make some crazy plays for T1. Faker has picked up his Gunblade. He has closed the gap a little bit. He's only about 17 CS behind BDD now, so he's been able to scoop up some more of the CS now that he has some items.
Okay. Effort going to use his Spellbook heal.
Got his flashback.
Yeah.
So
collects that one for himself. That's now available. So Rascal just happily throwing out as many of these as possible. Effort down to about half health, even through that heal. But Teddy should be able to zone Rascal away from this minion wave. As, did he just break his stopwatch? Yeah, he did. Life just felt like he didn't need that one.
Yeah.
Odd, to say the least. Is Effort going to battle dance over to Cuzz. And T1 will take the first turret of the game, so that's good news. Looks like BDD is going to answer very, very quickly. Local gold collected. As, okay, Clid's going to find Canna. Oh, dives on top of him. The Abyssal Voyage comes out. Canna going to get flashed on. There's the shockwave out of BDD. Life looking to lick him, and is going to do so. And there's first blood at 15 minutes going over to BDD.
They're like at the inhibitor turret at 15 minutes, just diving on in. And you can see that T1 are desperately trying to set up the same thing, but the Neeko Rascal doesn't get as much out of position. And even then, I mean, they're, the tier 2 up in the top side isn't really as valuable. And you could see that the Rift Herald as well, the Shirley does go down. As I'm trying to interpret this, I think that's First Blood. Latest First Blood in LCK Summer, I guess, is this game.
And the last one was Afrika versus KT. So, yeah, the old 15-minute First Blood, that's the record that we wanted to break here today, 100%.
Yeah.
Clid just really happy to have a bit of a hula dance.
Yeah. I like how Canna was immediately just backing and respecting Clid's maneuvering. Like, sometimes when you're that safe in your own jungle, you're like, oh, there's no way I'm going to go down here. But Canna factoring everything in, knowing that Life could get on top of him with the Abyssal Voyage, and sees the Volibear running straight at him. He's like, well, I should probably just run away as much as possible, even flashes to try to get away, but it was all for naught, as he did go down.
Yep. BDD does put his teleport on cooldown. Rascal will still have his. As Teddy is sort of running away with the farm on his side of the map, this is what Teddy does in the mid-game. And we've seen it time and time again. 16.5 minutes in, and he's sitting at 185 farm. So, yeah, well and truly up there. The 11 or 12 CS per minute, something like that. There's Canna. He's going to take a Grump. And we've got a little bit of a back. So is it Runan's Hurricane time? Not quite for Teddy, but getting very, very close to that 2-item spike. Ruler does have his, as Clid's going to be boosted towards the Infernal Drake. That's going to be up in 13 seconds. And T1, they're milling about. They do have some vision around the area. But you best believe we're expecting T1 to fight for this if they want their composition to be able to get things done. So Gen.G going to start this one up.
Infernal is so good for Jack's Akali especially. That kind of double scaling, Akali doing a lot of auto attacks and stuff like that. It can be very valuable for the side of T1. Obviously for Gen.G, they have a nice amount of damage in their comp as well. Faker looking for an angle. Doesn't quite find it.
Sky Strike comes down here for Clid, gets himself a little bit of a shield. As Gen.G continues sweeping up vision here, this control ward in the back of the pit doing work as Faker in flanking position. Rascal just being a little bit sneaky. And BDD, watch the orb, pulls it back to himself as okay, this is going to reset the Drake. As Clid won't have his ultimate, Faker was looking to come in and go aggressive. And the Dragon is not going to fully reset just yet. Blooming Burst comes in. Orb going to be thrown over. There's the Shockwave, lands only onto Cuzz. As Teddy pulls Effort back, he dives on in. The Infernal goes over to Gen.G. As Effort goes golden, Rascal just zoning with the Pop Blossom. And Gen.G just want to get out, but are they going to be able to as Faker dives on in, gets out again. Clid's going to fall, as now Teddy's going to hop mad into the back line. A double kill already. Life should be going down next, but he's going to flash. BDD also extraordinarily low as the dissonance. Doing a bunch of work. Cuzz maybe going a little bit too aggressive, but no. He's going to be rewarded for now as Canna finds yet another kill. Ruler desperately trying to do what he can, but the shuriken backflip not going to connect from Faker. And that is a great team fight for T1 despite losing out on the Infernal Drake.
Yeah, the whole beginning of that looked a little bit shaky. You could see that Gen.G were fantastically holding a phalanx and a concave there around the Infernal Drake, and we thought maybe they were just going to get away. That was close. Okay, Cuzz paying attention. He's not shopping. There's no wards there either, so that was just a good read. As we'll take a look here, Gen.G, they stick around. They're getting flanked a little bit by Faker, who does get into the back line, and it makes this Orianna's life really difficult. So BDD immediately not getting much value. The Pop Blossom kind of misses everyone, and then immediately they're like, okay, a lot of ults are down. We can begin to just run at them, and Teddy, he immediately takes that opportunity and says, well, thank you very much, here I go, and hops over like a bunny into the enemy team, just leading the charge, and gets so much value. After this, it's all about just cleanup. And you could see that BD and Ruler thinking about it, but they get baited into some more. And Faker, maybe if he hit that shuriken, he could have gone for the kill onto Ruler, but Ruler with his Iceborne Gauntlet, not going to be an easy kill. At the end of the day, yes, the Infernal does go the way of Gen.G, but that was the step forward that T1 needed here in the mid-game if they want to have some kind of effect in these fights before Gen.G begin to scale out of control. And maybe from here they can begin to take some of the Infernal Drake fights, especially now with Faker 1-0 and Teddy, more importantly, 2-0-1.
Yeah, and Teddy now has his Runaan's Hurricane as well, looking for a QSS for his next item, so he's going to be even more difficult to lock down. Ruler's going to get his transformation relatively soon, though. In 2.5 minutes should be enough time to get there. Because it looks like he's got a couple of longswords. We'll see exactly what that build is going to be about. We'll see whether Gen.G are going to be able to get some grievous wounds outside of just the Morellonomicon that BDD has completed for himself as well. Because actually, this composition has a hell of a lot of healing. Because you look at Karma, she's got an Athene's, and that deserves respect. T1 with a slight gold advantage. Gen.G with 2 very good Drakes so far. So right now, stats-wise, feels like Gen.G are probably still just a little bit ahead. But T1 hitting their stride when it comes to their comp, especially with where Teddy is. So we'll see whether this is going to mean that, like you say, T1 can bully Gen.G away from the Infernal Drake. A long way away from souls for both teams, though, so that certainly bodes well for the team that does want to scale more, and that feels like it's Gen.G this game. Although, I feel like Karma can turn every composition into a scaling comp these days.
Yeah, I mean, if you keep Jax and Akali alive for long enough, and Kalista, actually, they do have really great sustained damage, and in a very messy fight where you're in the backline, I mean, everybody has backline access, essentially, including the Rakan, so you got Karma and Kalista kind of holding hands behind the other 3 that are going to dive in. They do have some potential, so that is to be worried about. You do see the QSS early here for Teddy. It's a pretty defensive build. Obviously, he doesn't want to get rooted up or stunned up by the Neeko or the Volibear. But other than that, it's pretty defensive overall. He knows that now that he's ahead, he needs to stay alive to do actual effective damage. We see sometimes in solo queue people just want to build up more and more damage when actually it's better to just go defensive rather.
Yeah.
To make sure that you're staying alive, and it's harder, even harder, for the enemy to kill you with that nice level lead that you do eventually get when you are fed. And I think we're just going to have another fight here over the Infernal. It's going to be interesting to see how this one pans out.
Yep, teleport is going to come in, so 15 seconds to go, and Gen.G will find themselves grouped up after a teleport from Rascal, who goes back home. Collects the next little bit of his build. We'll see what actually he got to put together before this one. Shape Splitter comes through. Rascal just going to chase after Faker there. It's Cuzz standing on top of his own control ward. Gen.G trying to be in position. Is Effort going to get snared? But not going to get punished too much. Gen.G will be able to grab a Rift Scuttler for that added vision. And now this Drake is going to get started again. T1 a little bit late on this, as Rascal looking to control them. There's the Fate's call from Teddy, but it's not exactly what they want, as Faker diving into the pit. Clid going to be in position as there goes Effort. Gets a great knock up, as it is going to be Clid that locks down another Drake. Golden goes most of Gen.G. The health bars are so damn low as Faker wants to try and tidy it up, but he can't quite get there, and Teddy was eliminated way too early. In goes Cuzz though, and BDD is going to fall. And Cuzz is kept alive for so damn long. Teleport from the Ezreal, he will have full health, as Clid is gobbled up and life will keep him alive. Faker trying to go aggressive, but in the meantime, Ruler finds the backline. Canna not going to find that slow, as now Faker's dealt with a double kill for Ruler, and Gen.G fight back.
Nicely done by Gen.G to get in there. I really want to highlight Clid, that amongst all the craziness in the team fight, he's able to win the Smite fight, and every single Infernal that goes their way is going to be so massive for their team, especially when they can deny it away from T1. Ruler able to stay alive, returns to the fight with TP, and now he's 4-0 on the Ezreal, which is just insane. And this one gets messy really fast. This is what I was talking about. The T1 comp, it's always going to hit your back line.
BDD. I was watching the Drake that entire time, but BDD wearing his own orb, flash shockwaves, and gets 4 people.
He's basically saved his team there, because it could have been a lot worse. You know? There was
100%.
so much backline access. T1 was coming from 3 different angles, and then BDD was like, "Nuh-uh, I'm going to try to deny you of that." And then T1, I think maybe they didn't even notice that Ruler had left, and then they're trying desperately to help Faker, but everybody's too low that it's like, well, can't really do much for you, so he eventually goes down. They give a double kill to Ruler, who, by the way, completed Death Stance now and is basically unkillable with the Iceborne Gauntlet on top of it. I don't know what they're going to do to get this Ezreal. They have a lot of backline access, but it's 4-0 Ezreal with Tahm Kench and a big Orianna shield because he went Seraph's Embrace. So
yeah, Effort going to get slowed as Ruler just chasing him down. 3 members of T1 running away from good old Ruler right now. And that's a worrying sign, if ever I've seen one. However, the rest of Gen.G was in the area, so you can understand why some added respect was given. Teleport into the mid lane just to stop Gen.G from freely being able to take this Baron. Unfortunately, T1 not able to move this mini wave towards the outer turret. And that map control that Gen.G have had for what feels like this whole game is going to continue, at least until this mid-outer is going to be taken. It's only 1 turret in the lead here for Gen.G, but you can see how important that particular one is. The Shape Splitter once again providing vision to Gen.G, who make it very dark around the Baron. Now look to continue. Effort. It's going to have to be really careful. This is getting real dicey for T1. True Shot Barrage. Big shields. Don't worry. Canna has everything available with the Mantra Inspire.
yeah, we'll have to see if they can actually get anything done now after a pretty devastating team fight. But again, there is very many ways for T1 to try to outplay, even from behind, but it becomes increasingly difficult when there's already so much survivability on the side of Gen.G. They have itemized very correctly up against a kind of dive comp that T1 have. You have Zhonya's here, NGLP for the Neeko, you have the Seraphs for the extra shield for the Orianna, obviously Death Stance, and Iceborne Gauntlet for Ezreal.
Not to mention Knight's Vow on top of it. I mean, this Ezreal is taking a lot of killing before he's going to go down.
I don't even know how they can do it. I mean, he's going to be able to reposition very easily. They don't have much hard lockdown, even though they have a lot of backline access. You know, there's like the mini-stun from the Akali, the Counter-Strike can easily be dodged from the Jax. I guess the Fate's Call and the Rakan will be their best hope. But it's do or die now. I mean, we got Infernal Drake in 45 seconds. Yep. And so far, T1 have kind of just been giving the floor over to Gen.G and letting them take position before the fights. And Gen.G have just been like, yeah, sure. I mean, we have a nice amount of poke. We can zone you out, and we'll gladly take this position from you.
You can see Ruler actually playing so far up, and he can with this composition, right? BDD chucks a shield on him. He's sort of like Karma Light at this point in time.
Yeah.
With the Orianna. Doesn't have Athenes or anything like that built up, but still able to offer a lot of support. But with Devour right behind him, I mean, Ruler can step forward, Arcane Shift aggressively, things like that, and try and get pressure onto the T1 members. And there's the Infernal Drake spawning, so Effort going to get caught out of position here from Rascal. Level 10, unfortunately, for Effort, who's going to have to Blast Cone his way out. Clid grabs himself the Rift Scuttler. There is vision in this pit. So T1 will know what's going on, but Cuzz, he can't get chunked before this particular fight as Teddy. That is not the real Neeko, but he does have to respect that. And oh, they're going to dive on forward. Cuzz is going to grab it as Teddy. Going to get shockwaved again, but he's still alive. Effort not so lucky. Cuzz trying to get out. He will be taken here as Clid flashes on top of him. And Gen.G, they may have lost the Infernal Drake, but this could be Baron if they can tidy up here. Canna gonna go down. All of that support for Teddy's gonna go missing. Might find himself safer now that he is underneath that turret, but the rest of his team can't say the same. Faker and Teddy, can they save T1 from the Baron push of Gen.G?
Yeah, I mean, say what you will about the team fight, but if Cuzz did not get that smite, I think the game would just be over from here because Gen.G would have won the fight and the dragon with Infernal Soul, and then eventually take Baron most likely on top of that. So they give T1 a tiny little chance, I'll say. That's what I'll give them from here because Gen.G are in really firm control of this game. Cuzz and Effort so low. They're barely able to get in there, jump over the wall. But there's no hope that they're going to win the team fight. I mean, it's just like we got to desperately try to get this Infernal, and that's all. Nobody's engaging. They're all split up. And see, this nice Abyssal Voyage comes in to get an extra kill on top of it just to make sure that they can get the Baron. And, yeah, Ruler's just like a monster right now because we mentioned all the items and all that, but it's a Tahm, Kench, Ezreal as well. It's one of the safest lanes, something that the Gen.G organization, you know, back in Forte days with Ruler, they've been playing this comp since the beginning, basically. And it is, for many reasons, extremely strong.
Yeah, that was with a very different Tahm Kench, and I feel like ownership of that combo has sort of gone over to Aiming and Tucson, but they were definitely the pioneers of this particular combo. Ezreal Tahm Kench was their utter favorite before Core JJ went and left us. So sad. But look at the damage dealt. Ruler is all over this. More than double what Teddy's offered because Teddy he's been eliminated at the beginning of the last couple of team fights and hasn't been able to get anything done. And BDD now with the Rabbidan's Death Cap, that's going to make Ruler even stronger. Now 3 items on this Glacial Augment. Neeko, who's going to be able to just completely control the battlefield. It's an awful experience trying to team fight as Teddy against this Gen.G comp with the Neeko there. Because she just slows him down. That's going to slow his attack speed. Like, this does not feel great. As Ruler dashing on forward looking for Teddy, but Teddy hopping around with that martial poise.
Teddy does feel like one of the only hopes left available to the side of T1. Akali, again, we questioned the pick, and it's... Even if it got ahead, I wonder how much efficiency it would have gotten, effectiveness in this game, how well it would have done. I'm just not sure, I mean, because Gen.G could have easily itemized the same way.
Double siege minions now, and this composition is so low range, they can't do anything against the siege. This was always going to be a problem. That's why this comp is so hard to play as the game goes on. And Gen.G they walk forward. They're like a juggernaut. It's so funny because that's what we used to call T1 as a team. Doesn't feel the same way anymore as Clid moving down towards the bottom side. Ruler just inside the T1 base. And it just feels like T1 don't have all that much left to try and hold on to this game. Cuzz tagged by the W there from Ruler. But it's just it feels so easy for Gen.G just to walk on over and take anything that they want, as the Baron eventually is going to wear off. It's not a bad power play in the end. It's now Rascal throwing around his Super Soaker. Teddy slowed down, and there's the Fate's Call. T1 looking to try and put on the pressure, as there's the Devour, and life Not going to be too worried as Faker immediately goes golden. Pop Blossom finds no value. There's a good flank from Cuzz, and this might be the team fight Teddy can look for. Ruler still extremely healthy as Teddy understands that he has to take this game into his own hands, but can't quite make it work. Cuzz going to get kited there by Rascal, as it's just Cuzz an effort to try and hold on to this one. Faker also getting himself back to base, and Gen.G hold themselves together and are able to take down yet another inhibitor.
That was a really nice engage from the side of T1. You really got to hand it to them from behind. They found a way, and they finally made that Fate's Call with the Rakan really get some value. It forced the Devour out really early on onto the Orianna, which isn't necessarily the person you want to use it on. You want to allow Ruler to continue to just rule by himself. But he was still untouchable. Even besides all that, there was a big backline dive by the side of T1. And from that team fight, they're going to try to roll into this Infernal and take it away real quick. I think they should be able to.
Yep, they got some spooky ghosts. Oh my god, live! Oh, that was it. I think it was with a smite from his unsealed spellbook, but the range may not have quite been enough as Faker is going to execute Rascal. But Ruler will have an arcane shift, and that's all he's going to need to be able to take down Faker from the mid lane. Gen.G just stealing that Infernal Soul from right under the noses of T1, and if it wasn't over already, man, that's got to do it now.
Yeah, that's a really big blow to the game and also their mental in this one. I mean, that's not going to be easily taken down. Now the 7-0 Ezreal has Infernal Soul on top of everything else. They're going to try to get him here.
Well, there's the Fate's Call. Ruler says, no, doesn't really want to have anything to do with that as Teddy's going to get tagged. Effort looks for the charm. He's going to charm up Ruler just for a little while, but he decides that he wants to go aggressive after that. Remember, this is with an Infernal Soul. You can see him proccing his brilliant shockwave out from BDD. Only onto a single target, but it's the only target that's capable of doing damage here in these team fights. And now, without Faker or Teddy, Gen.G are going to push in and probably just win this game.
Yep, that should be it. We do have the Super Minion, although they're going to try to make their way in here with 3 members and hold the Phalanx, but we'll see what they can do.
Cuzz looking for the counter-strike, but does not get it. There's the ulti from Clid. It's going to shut down the turret. It's going to get deleted, and the Nexus is going to follow suit. Effort finds a grand entrance to knock up onto the bear, but immediately he's going to go down. Faker has respawned. He goes golden, but now it's Ruler. Triple kill instantly. That's the Quadra. A delayed pentakill in the end for good old Ruler. Actually, no, BDD managed to get the last one with the shockwave, but still.